Well, hello and welcome to Bingewatch, the podcast where we take a look at the hottest new TV and film releases on streaming television platforms. I'm Hannah Fernando, the group editor of Woman and Woman at Home magazine.
And I'm Ian McEwen, writer on TV and Satellite Week, TV Times and What's on TV magazines. Oh, and whatstowatch.com, by the way. And today we're looking at the new releases that will be available on Friday, the 20th of June 2025, including the 1930s set Mitford Sisters drama Outrageous on You, and coming-of-age thriller We Were Liars on Prime Video.
And we'll also be catching up with Noel Edmonds in his New Zealand home in a 3-part ITVX documentary, and head down to the Waterfront for a Netflix family crime saga. But first, Ian, what is in the news, pray tell?
Based on a true story, Netflix drama Unabomb will star Russell Crowe as a Harvard professor carrying out psychological experiments on a student who will become a terrorist. What else is in the news, Hannah?
Well, Ray Donovan star Liev Schreiber and Stephen Graham will appear in an as yet untitled Apple TV Plus thriller about a soldier turned detective who moves to a small town being targeted by a serial killer.
Good stuff. Well, if I had to pick a theme for this week's pod, which I often do, Hannah, it would be families, okay? And we're going to start on Netflix with a new drama series called The Waterfront. And here's a clip.
I'm driving up here and I see the name Buckley everywhere.
Who would choose to be a part of this family?
We have money and standing.
That sentence should be in the past tense.
We're struggling. We're going to lose the restaurant,
The harbor.
we have to come up with $2 million in less than 3 months.
What are you going to do? I'm going to take control of things.
Well, this has been compared to Succession and to Ozark, both of which are exceptional. I wouldn't say it's in that league. It's set in a coastal town in North Carolina, and it's about this family called the Buckleys, who run a fishing and restaurant business, but are in financial trouble. I'd say it's quite soapy, if I'm honest. The characterization is pretty broad. So the patriarch is Harlan. He's played by Holt McElhenney. He's recovering from a heart attack. He's a heavy drinker. He's unfaithful to his wife, Belle, played by Maria Bello. And his son is called Kane, played by Jake Weary. And he's sort of been looking after the business, really, certainly the fishing side of things. And the jumping off point is that there's a fishing vessel that belongs to the family, which is carrying a big payload of drugs. It's boarded by some masked men with guns, and basically the drugs go missing, the ship washes up on the shore, and the 2 guys who are on board are dead. So, what's been happening? That's the question. So it's going to, there's going to be sort of drug dealing going on, family dynamics. There's quite an interesting daughter called Bree, played by Melissa Benoist. I quite like that character. She's a recovering alcoholic. I mean, this family in a right state, to be honest. They really are. They could do with some family therapy. So she's lost custody of her son. There's going to be some surprises quite early on about who is behind what happened on the boat. It's actually created by the guy who did Dawson's Creek. It's done a few other things, The Vampire Diaries, Scream horror franchise. So pretty good pedigree. I enjoyed it. I found it quite soapy and a bit over the top. For instance, like there's one point where the dad punches the son in the face, and then on another moment, the son punches the dad in the face. And I thought, this is all a bit, I'm not sure if I'm buying into this particularly, but it's certainly entertaining. And it's got some good music as well. What did you think, Hannah?
I was just about to say that the music's the best bit for me, actually. I think it is a bit over-egged, isn't it, in places? I think that's sort of the problem. And that sort of whodunit I don't know. It's hammed up is probably the best way to put it. Just completely hammed up. And it's a bit of a shame because I don't think it needed to be. I think that it would have worked without all of that kind of overacting, I suppose, or that that script that just went that little bit too far. And as you say, the kind of the dad hitting the son hitting the dad. It's, I don't know, it's a bit mirrored, isn't it? It's not my it's not my kind of thing anyway. But as I say, the music is probably the best bit of it. It is a whodunit, can you guess sort of situation. And as you say, definitely in need of some family therapy.
We move across to You and Drama, as well as the streaming platform You, for a period drama series called Outrageous. And here's a clip.
Let me tell you a story of 6 very different women. One was the most beautiful and the most dangerous. There's the one born to be Duchess, and every story needs a rebel. She was drawn to a life of adventure, and she, the most extreme path of us all. And me? Now that would be telling. We are the Mitford sisters.
Yes, it truly is outrageous, but I love it. So this follows the Mitford sisters, and it's a 6-part period drama. I love period dramas anyway, and they're always quite outrageous. So this is just a great title anyway, because it just pushes the outrageousness. But it's not just the kind of sexual front that we're used to with these period dramas. Actually, it's a whole lot worse. So this is it has been created by Sarah Williams, and it was based on Mary Lovell's biography, The Mitford Girls, and it follows these quite very full of character, full of life, spirited siblings: Nancy, Pamela, Diana, Unity, Jessica, and Deborah. And it's their journey, I suppose, of them trying to find their place in society in a very sort of an ever-changing world. So this is pre-Second World War. But they're incredibly different characters, and this follows their journey. So it begins in 1932. And it starts with the sisters visiting their sister Diana. And she's got this amazing country house. So if you love those kind of, which I do, those lovely backdrops, country kind of stately manor type settings, yeah, this has got this in spades. And she shares this house with her very wealthy husband. Of course she does, Brian Guinness, he's called. But one of the sisters notices she's not happy. Siblings do, don't they? They can see that she's not very happy. And, you know, sure enough, she isn't happy, and she has an affair. She goes off with a guy called Oswald Mosley, and this is where it gets really quite horrid. He's a leader of the British Union of Fascists. And she totally buys into this idea that he's representing this change that society requires. And she reveals she's going to leave her husband for him. And they kind of set up this life. I mean, she was never bred to do that. She was bred to marry the rich man and have the heirs. And, you know, that was how it was supposed to be. So straight away, this kind of whole plan is derailed. And what you see is how her views split the family, because actually another sister decides to kind of join that way of thinking. And this causes a huge split in the family, with one of them following, as say, her into this kind of right-wing extremism, and other sisters being absolutely horrified, so horrified that she turns to communism. So, you know, we talk about, let's say, a lot of dramas, it's kind of the sex, I suppose, that's the outrageous part. Actually, in this, it's quite uncomfortable viewing. And indeed, for those playing the parts, I think they found it quite difficult to say some of the things they had to say that were completely against their own beliefs. So this, as I say, this follows this family, and I sort of got caught up with it immediately. I found it very, very interesting, and I think they did really, really well, because it is that little bit different, because it's based on that true story, and it's based on the idea that it's not just kind of one of these sort of made up period dramas. It has more substance, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say. So I did enjoy it. What did you think, Ian?
It's well done, isn't it? And I'd say it's quite a coup for you, because it really is a very well made, quite glitzy period drama. It's got a great cast. So you've got Joanna Vanderham plays Diana, who falls for the fascist Oswald Mosley. So I last saw her in the adaptation of Irving Welsh's Crime. She was very good in that. I really liked Bessie Carter as Nancy Mitford. And for all of the daughters, we're still at that stage, certainly in upper class British society, where the obsession is, well, coming out and hopefully getting a marriage proposal, you know. So Nancy is hanging on for a marriage proposal from this guy, and it's, as you'll see, it doesn't quite work out. Unity, played by Shannon Watson, ends up becoming obsessed with Adolf Hitler. James Purefoy plays the dad, known as Favre, and lovely Anna Chancellor from Four Weddings, she plays Muv. So it's got a good cast. It's really well made, I think. I mean, the costumes and sets look fantastic. The one thing I would say is, I mean, they're described as the Kardashians of their era, aren't they? The Mitford sisters. I would say we continue to be obsessed with the aristocracy in period drama, and similarly to the way that I'm kind of a bit tired of people making dramas about the Cray twins, who were just violent criminals, but we seem to be fascinated by them. I just wonder why we're still so fascinated by the Mitfords, considering their link to the far right. But there we are. I mean, it's really well done, and it drew me in, and I thought it was some great performances, and it certainly is a remarkable story. So yes, well worth a look. Over on ITV1 and ITVX, we have a new documentary series called Noel Edmonds Kiwi Adventure. And here's a clip.
New Zealand's a great place to come to. It's not the easiest place to set up a business. Welcome to the Bugger Inn. We're hemorrhaging money at the moment. We're going to need a bigger crane.
You travel halfway around the world and he turns up.
What Liz and I wish to achieve is community. And people are happy. That's the key thing.
Well, I say if there's one thing, if you only have time to watch one thing this week, it has to be this, because it's quite something. So, of course, Noel Edmonds, he was a big deal in British broadcasting, wasn't he? And I think he was a real TV talent. He did so much stuff, including Deal or No Deal, his multicoloured swap shop. He was like a Top of the Pops presenter and a DJ. He's done loads of stuff. And Mr. Blobby, of course, Noel's House Party. He was huge in the British TV landscape. So there's no doubting his talent. However, kind of in recent years, it has emerged that he's quite an unusual character, let's say it like this. And also, he went through this traumatic experience, which he talks about in this, where his business went under, and then he kind of sued the banks for, he kind of thought the banks had deliberately sabotaged his company and to sort of asset strip. And he won. Anyway, fast forward, Noel is now living in South Island, New Zealand. He's bought lots of land down there, including a vineyard, and he's building this hospitality business called River Haven, which includes a shop and a pub and restaurant. So yeah, okay. But that's not the interesting bit, believe you me. The interesting stuff is Noel himself. So, I mean, he looks amazing. He's in his 70s, and he still looks, I mean, obviously he's dyeing his hair and his beard, but he looks remarkably youthful. And he's got quite a kind of childish sense of humour. Like, he's called his pub the Bugger Inn, which is dreadful. And he serves drinks such as the Dickens cider. And just his general banter is really kind of quite crude and naff. You see him like using a nail gun. He's saying it's like a sex toy, but he's kind of playing up to the camera. he kind of knows what he's doing. And then you're also hearing about, there's been a lot of coverage of his sort of quite new agey views. So we see him kind of lying under a crystal lamp. And the best bit for me is in the grounds, he's had this huge metal sculpture commissioned called The Guardian, which is like which is a sculpture of a kneeling knight in armor with a shield. And that is just hilarious. He calls his wife, who seems very normal, to be fair, was his makeup artist on a show. He calls her, she says she's an earth angel, and that they were destined to meet. And he's actually, all the clocks on the property show the time that they met for the first time. It's all quite weird. So it's a bit like kind of David Icke, if you remember him, meets Alan Partridge, really, via Richard Madeley. So, I mean, Edmonds is clearly, he's very at ease on camera. He knows how to present himself, but he also he comes across as quite needy, very childlike, but also you get the sense that you wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of him, really. Yeah, so I mean, I was absolutely riveted. It's gripping. It really is. It's just astonishing. It's going to become, I think this could be a cult favorite. And I mean, this could just run and run. I think it's an absolute, unintentionally just hilarious and marvelous. So I heartily recommend it. What did you think, Hannah?
Unintentional TV gold. Yes. Really. I think the way you summed that up about, what was it, Alan Partridge, Richard Madeley, and who was the other one? David Icke. I mean, that just sums it up, really, doesn't it? I just think that we've moved so much as society, societally, haven't we, in terms of what can be said, what shouldn't be said, and actions and behaviours, and for the good. And like you say, the name of the pub and the kind of sexual innuendos and the things that he says, it lands so strangely now. You just don't see stuff like this, do you, anymore? And in some ways, they're relatively brave sort of showing it, because it kind of, this is an opportunity. Like you say, he was huge back in the day. I mean, he was Saturday night TV, wasn't he? Mr. Blobby. Didn't Mr. Blobby go to number 1 for Christmas one year or something? He was absolutely massive. And this is a kind of and we knew that there was, the wheels are coming off, things were changing for him with some of the sort of interviews he was doing prior to him moving abroad. And then now this is a kind of a snapshot into that life. And it's quite weird and wonderful, isn't it, really? And I think people will really enjoy watching it and find it quite funny. But there are areas where you think, God, can you do this anymore? Is this okay to broadcast?
Well, we're going to finish on Prime Video with another family saga. This one is called We Were Liars. And here's a clip.
We live, at least in the summer, on Beechwood Island.
I know your marks, your every line.
We were happy. We wanted for nothing.
I just hope we don't run out of time.
But something terrible happened last summer, and I have no memory of what or who hurt me.
Yeah, well, this is a thriller. There are 8 episodes, and this is season 1. So, it is based on E. Lockhart's novel, We Were Liars, which was a really big deal back in 2014. I didn't read it then either, and I need to, because now I've seen this, I want to actually see how close it was to the book. But it's a really compelling portrayal of a let's be clear, the basis of this is the basis of many things, of a wealthy and seemingly perfect American family, but really underneath it all, and family and friends, and underneath it all are a load of dark secrets, which of course then come out. And it is an adaptation, but I think it sticks if you've read the book, you'll know the characters. The backdrop, of course, is beautiful. It's set on this amazing New England island estate that's owned by Harris Sinclair, played by David Morse, and it's idyllic. I mean, it's beautiful, and the family gathers, as they do traditionally every year, for this incredible summer break, no expense spared, amazingness, and you get to know the children involved, and there are 4 particularly key parts in this. There's the very sensitive 16-year-old granddaughter Cadence. She's played by Gossip Girl's Emily Aylin Lind, and then you've got their cousins Mirren, Johnny, and Gat. So they're the kind of the key players in this, and they've been friends since childhood. So there's a real kind of, and I think actually, to be fair, I think the characters do that quite well. I think you can see that there's a connection here, and they're dubbed the Liars because of everything that they get up to when they're there. But because they're getting older, Cadence and Gat, they start to fall for each other. But of course, it's a thriller. It's not all happy, I'm afraid to tell you. And there is this really terrible accident, and Cadence is left with this amnesia. What actually happened? She tries to piece it all together, and that's when all the sort of shocking discoveries about all these people that she thought she knew so well comes to light, and that's where the wheels really start to come off. So it's very much up my street. I enjoy this kind of thing. There are twists and turns. I don't think it's particularly something that you'll go, do you know what? That's really deep. I don't think it is particularly. It is kind of a fairly easy view. It's enjoyable. And I don't know, Ian, do you think it's something that interests you, or do you think it is predominantly somebody who's read the book? I mean, I haven't read the book and I enjoyed it. But I think it's quite compelling.
Beautiful people with beautiful problems. Yeah, I quite enjoyed it. It's quite sort of pot boilerish, isn't it, to be honest? They're all gorgeous. I mean, there are 3 generations of this sort of extended family, and they're all stunners, aren't they? So if you want to watch incredibly attractive people in a beautiful setting, kind of lounging about in a beautiful house and on the beach, this is for you. Too many TV series start it's with a body, and it's usually a young woman's body, and it's often in water. And we were saying this last week, weren't we, that like so many dramas start like this and then flash back. So yeah, we've seen that before, but there's plenty to enjoy in it. I mean, so in episode 1, it's kind of about the loss of innocence, I guess, isn't it? It's kind of a coming of age story, really, because they've spent all these beautiful summers together, but now they're becoming adults, the youngest generation, and it's the longest I've waited for 2 characters to kiss ever, I think, in the history of TV. It takes an absolute age. But so we're going to find out what led up to this person, being found in the water, still alive, I should add. But yeah, there's romance developing in episode 1. So one of the mothers is married to a sort of real big shot businessman, but is really frustrated because he's never there. He's always working. Another of them is divorced. There are business links between members of the extended family, which creates a sort of unease. And yet there's a party boat has moored in the bay, which, much to the patriarch's disapproval. But of course the kids, they want to get out there and party. So yeah, it's just glossy, gorgeous people, beautiful backdrop, and not a murder mystery, but an accident mystery, if you like. So yeah, I enjoyed it, but I'm not sure it's something that I can be bothered to stay with, but I'm probably not the target audience. Well, we finally got to that stage, Hannah, where we find out what the hell you've been binge watching.
Well, I have been watching, of course I have, Clarkson's Farm 4.
Of course.
Of course I have. It's so funny.
Well, I'm very highbrow, as you know, so I've been watching a new Adam Curtis documentary series called Shifty. You might have seen some of his stuff before. There's some more of it on iPlayer, and he makes documentaries about how did we get here, whether it's, the state of the nation now, which is very much what this one is, or kind of the war in Afghanistan. And he does it all kind of using archive footage that he just links together, and incredible footage, all sorts of weird and wonderful things. So yeah, I would say well worth a look, BBC iPlayer. Now, we've just got time to look ahead to next week's offerings, so what's on the Binge Watch menu?
Well, Taron Egerton and Journey Smollett are on the hunt for 2 pyromaniacs in an Apple TV thriller, Smoke.
And Korean drama Squid Game reaches its exhilarating conclusion on Netflix. So we look forward to those and much, much more. But in the meantime, listeners,
keep watching!
Much that once was is lost, for none now live who remember it. It began with the forging of the Great Rings. To celebrate the 300th episode of Verbal Diorama, a complete history and legacy of the film adaptations of J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings, including Ralph Bakshi's The Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson's celebrated The Lord of the Rings trilogy, and Kenji Kamiyama's The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim. Listen to the entire story in your podcast app of choice every Thursday in May by subscribing to Verbal Diorama, the podcast all about the history and legacy of movies you know and movies you don't. For the time will soon come when hobbits will shape the fortunes of all.